Hello and welcome to Halftime at the Footy. My guest today is Brett Raponi, President of the West Perth Football Club. Now 2014 marks a milestone for the Falcons. It's been 21 years since they left their traditional home of Leederville Oval and relocated here to Arena Joondalup. Well, Brett, 21 years here at Arena Joondalup. How would you describe the last 21 years as a slice of West Perth's long history?
Really successful, I'd say, especially on the back of a premiership last year. It's our fourth premiership up here, and it's in our sixth attempt in 21 seasons at Joondalup.
And what's it been like? I guess what's the major challenges for you shifting a club back at Leederville all the way to Arena and a new suburb? What have the challenges been?
I suppose demographics have been difficult for the club to embrace up here. The club came out 21 years ago when Joondalup was really a new domain and a new frontier, if you like. And we probably isolated some of our members when we left Leederville. But coming out here, I think, has been the right thing. We've embraced the community, particularly over the last 5 or 6 years. And I think now the community is starting to embrace us.
Back to 1993, what sort of situation was the club in? And I guess what are the reasons that the relocation happened?
Yeah, look, a little bit before my time, I was an avid fan and supporter and loved Leederville.
And the ball has been bottled up at right half court. There's the siren. And West Perth, fittingly in their last game after 78 years at Leederville, have run out winners 17-19.
Past presidents and past historians tell me that financially the club was very strapped for cash. Also our district was withering away, and probably not unlike what East Perth have to deal with now.
The supporters showed their appreciation as the players departed Leederville Oval for the last time.
This was seen as the new frontier, and if the club came out here, we'd be given particular rights to a zone, which the Football Commission have stuck to this point in time, and it's bore a lot of fruit for us.
And how would you describe, I guess, the Joondalup area? There's a lot of sort of an international type feel to it, and you guys celebrate that the right way, but how would you describe this area and its relation to football?
Well, 41% of the population up here are English, and soccer has a big presence in the town, but West Perth, through our programs and I think through our success, our great tradition and our proud history, has been able to drag some of those people in. So, over the last 2 seasons, this ground, Arena Joondalup's, had the highest aggregate attendance in the WAFL competition. We've worked really hard on trying to embrace the community, trying to get local sponsors on board, trying to get mum and dads involved in the club and get the kids involved in the club. And we always feel if you can get the kids involved, mum and dad will come to the football. Hopefully they'll rust onto West Perth like I am, and the club will have a long future here.
One of the talking points over the 21 years after the relocation has been the name, the West Perth Falcons. Located in Joondalup, doesn't quite mix. What's your take on that, and what's the future with the name of the West Perth Falcons?
Certainly while I'm the president, the club will remain the West Perth Football Club, trading as the West Perth Football Club.
Has there been pressure though?
Yeah, the City of Joondalup, to their credit, raise it, and they come and meet us at a board meeting once a year, and they do put it on record that they would like us to consider a name change. Look, ultimately the name change comes up every 18 months or so. It's an old chestnut. The members will make that decision. It's not a decision for the president or the board. But it's certainly been a challenge, but I think it's something we've been able to weather. And in spite of that all, our membership is at the highest point it's been in 21 years at Arena Joondalup this year.
And so what sort of feedback have you got from members when the argument is raised? What's the reaction been?
The phone goes crazy. They get my home number, they get my work number, they get my mobile number, there's emails. We get inundated with people who would like to see us remain West Perth. Look, the message I send back to our fans, not necessarily members, but our fans, is if you want the club to remain West Perth, you need to invest in the club. And that means becoming a member, that means attending functions and supporting the football club. But poking your head up out of a hole when the name change comes up isn't good enough and might not sustain it long term. But in the short term, it'll be the West Perth Football Club.
The international market that you mentioned out here in Joondalup, you guys have celebrated that in a couple of unique ways to the WAFL. Talk us through that.
Yeah, I suppose 2 years ago we went with a radical change. We wore a Union Jack jumper. Certainly got the world talking. I was particularly pleased with it because we had 6,000 people come. It was the greatest crowd that we've had up here in 15 years. Also on top of that, we're able to sign up new memberships and introduce people to the game. So for West Perth, our priority isn't just winning premierships, it's also growing the game of Australian rules football out here. And for us to grow as a football club, we need these immigrants to play our game because they're the future of the football club. They're the next Jason Salisich's, Jay Van Berlo's, Andrew Strikes.
And what about for this year in particular, the international game? What's been done differently? What's special about this one?
Yeah, well, this year we've given out 30,000 free tickets. The Football Commission have supported us and community newspapers have supported us. Channel 9 have also run an advertising campaign to support us. Interestingly, last year we did the same thing. We gave out 30,000 tickets, but we had the best day on the gate we've ever had against East Fremantle. So financially, it is rewarding for the club. This year we've asked schools, I think we've had 9 participating schools to design a jumper. And it was a young man out at Quinns who's come up with a winning entry, and we'll wear a specially commemorated jumper which has the Union Jack on the sash, and I think we've got 8 flags representing the demographic of Joondalup and Wanneroo.
And I guess you've sort of made the most of your move out here and it's been successful on the field. What about off the field and in the future, I guess? What's next in terms of upgrading this facility?
Well, certainly we're lucky at the last state election where the Liberal government committed $8 million to a brand new 2-storey facility which will be placed just over there. That'll ensure the club has a long history going forward, and we'll be able to derive a passive income, and that's something the club hasn't been able to do. We have a very complex arrangement up here with our landlord in Venues West. It's been pretty difficult for the best part of 20 years off field, but in spite of those challenges, we've still been able to win games of football. And I think with the challenges that we've been confronted off field have probably made us better people, better citizens, and made us work a lot harder in all avenues of a football club. So that's the next target. That's 2016. That should open up, and I can't wait for that day.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag, it's the emblem for me and for you.
And in terms of the long history of West Perth, I guess a lot of traditionalists would still call Leederville the home of West Perth. How does that sit with you at the moment?
Yeah, a lot of people call it our spiritual home, and yeah, I'm probably one of those people. I love going back there. We're fortunate that we play Subiaco and East Perth, who share the ground, so we can play up to 5 times in a season there. And we actually have a really good record there. Look, for a lot of people my age, I'm mid-40s, I'm going to be around for a lot longer yet, but that's my history of going to the football, was at Leederville Oval. So they were great days. I suppose from 75 to 95, in between flags, we weren't too successful, and I suppose in some ways the move has been rubber stamped by shifting to Joondalup. As I said earlier, 4 premierships in 21 seasons. We went 20 years at Leederville and are pretty barren.
Like any football club rooms, you don't need to look far for reminders of the good times. It took West Perth just 2 seasons to bring a flag up the Mitchell Freeway to Joondalup.
1995, it was a significant premiership. It was the first one up here at Joondalup. We'd been 20 barren years, and we beat your old team, Subiaco, the arch nemesis, in front of 31,000. I look up there and there's great memories. In fact, I noticed one of the guys on the boundary there was a football manager, and that's Scotty Bellum, who's now a vice president of the football club. I look down and see Harrow and I see Dimmer, Paul Mifka, Steve Truella, Todd Curley, Craig Turley, Darren O'Brien. These are real famous names in our footy club.
Yeah.
Probably the most pleasing, and still around the club. Even now you see them on match day up here.
And you mentioned Darren Harris. You got the wall over here dedicated to the man.
Yeah, well, Harrow, when he took off to Carlton for those couple of years, I think his wife said, you've got to get rid of that. So he gave me a call and said, would you like it? But my wife didn't want it, and it was a great place to have it up here at West Perth Footy Club. And Harrow's a revered figure up here. He was a captain of the club, premiership player, Ferris and Best winner, Simpson medal winner, and also went on to coach the footy club.
Harris starred for the Falcons in the 90s, so who better to ask about the club's move to Joondalup back in 1993?
We'd heard whispers that there was some financial difficulties, and so this was a look to the future, enabling us to continue for hopefully the next 100 odd years. So We all thought it was pretty positive. I remember driving out to a paddock in the middle of nowhere and the players, and there was a grader, and there was a fair bit of fanfare and photos and whatever, but it was hard to picture what it looked like there when it was just sort of nothing there really.
It was the biggest WAFL story in years, and according to Harris, the move upset a lot of West Perth traditionalists.
You know, things do change that we don't always agree with, and we've got to go along with them. But yeah, we're Cardies, and we'll be Cardies till we die.
There was a real divide, there's no doubt about that.
Well, it is sad. I know it has to happen.
And I think that lasted for years. There was naming rights issues. Were we going to be Joondalup Falcons? Were we going to be West Perth? As a player and as a coach, we sort of kept ourselves pretty much removed from that. We just trusted the people that were governing the club to make the good decisions, but we just loved playing for the footy club. And so I've gone down before as saying that you moved a group of players out to Joondalup, but that group of players were still great mates and still played in the same jumper, and we went out and we performed, and we won 3 premierships in a 10-year era in our first 10 years at Joondalup, and it was great to see the boys win another one last year. So I think 4 premierships in the time we've been out there is a pretty good return.
During the move, club officials decided to bring with them some pieces of Leederville. Each player's locker was preserved, all making the trip up the freeway. In fact, you don't have to look too hard to find historic reminders dotted around the arena. Each of them a small slice of West Perth's days at Leederville. Even the old goalposts are still in use. Dug up from Leederville Oval, they now stand proudly flying the Falcons flag in Joondalup.